Hey guys, so making a final review for our English final in 2 days for Persepolis. I will be focusing more on that because I already have a video on Antigone, so there. I'm actually in a park full of hobos, so yeah, let's get started with this. So the first question reads, what was the Cold War and how were the Soviet Union, aka Russia, the USA, and Iran involved? So the Cold War was Soviet Union against the USA. So the US wanted the oil from Iran, so that's kind of how it all started, but it was the US wanted Iran as allies for the oil, I meant. So it was a war between capitalism and communism. Okay, question number 2. So what is the US involvement with the Shah's rise to power? Okay, so this is a very easy question. So the US just put the Shah into power in Iran because of the need of oil. They wanted the resources, so that's why it was war. So what does Marjane want to be at the beginning of the novel? And so she wants to be a prophet. How do people react to this? So she was laughed at and she was scolded by everyone's reactions. Let's see. What do people do as a result to everyone's reactions? And what does she tell her parents? So she tells her parents that she wants to become a doctor because she doesn't want to upset them or kind of discourage them. But yeah, she just kind of never agrees with it. Okay, next question. How do they view the veil in Iran? So some were for it, while others were against it. So it's kind of a break in between two different things. So you really can it's like this break of ideas. You can say ones were for it, while others were not for it. But her mom specifically did not agree with it. She thought it took her individuality away from her. Next question. What is the significance of the following quote? The revolution is like a bicycle. When the wheels don't turn, it falls. This quote explains how if not everybody is supporting the revolution, it will fall just like a bike when the wheels aren't moving. If not everyone is supporting it, it won't move. That's kind of the whole idea of this quote. Next question. Describe the protests in Iran. So they were very dangerous and very violent. What is Marjane's feelings about social class? Her social class specifically. So she does not think they're correct and she wants equality. She's kind of mad that she was born in this social class, that being the wealthy one, because that just makes her feel very like conservative and very bad. I'm sorry if you're hearing any noise here, there's people around me, so. Anyway, next question. How many times does Marjane's grandfather, how many times was he sent to prison? So he was sent to prison 3 times. Why was he sent to prison? So he was sent to prison just for being a communist. Next question. How does Marjane react once she hears her grandfather's torture? Why? So she attempts to relieve the torture he had to endure. She does this out of empathy. This also shows her coming of age and loss of innocence as she is being exposed to this sort of content. She's also losing her religion, motive in connection with God as he is unable to give her comfort. So just, oops, oh God, I'm too wide. Anyway, so just know that her relationship gets distant from God because she doesn't think he's giving her comfort, but she's just gradually showing her innocence and how she's losing all of that and becoming pretty much like a young adult. Next question. How does Marjane feel about social class? Find examples from the text of her feelings. So she feels like it's wrong and equality should happen again. And I have some quotes right here. You don't have to put this down, but these are just some examples. So I wanted to be a prophet because our maid did not eat with us because my father had a Cadillac. It's nuts. Next question. They hypnotized them and just tossed them into a battle. Absolute carnage. Next question. When I went back to her room, she was crying. We're not in the same social class, but at least we were in the same bed. So again, this is showing how she's like very like aware of what's going on, and she realizes that there are different social classes, and she's not clearly okay with that. So next question. Describe Marjane and Mary's relationship. So Mary is her maid. So they both get along. However, while Mary views Mary as her sister, Marjane views her as her maid. So Marjane attempts to write letters for Mary's lover and overall helper. But, so there's like one sees her as a sister and one doesn't. So just know that. Next question. So why does Mary's boyfriend no longer want to see her? How does this affect Marjane? So Mary again is the maid, Okay, so he does no longer want to see her after he's told that she is merely a maid and from the lower class. People tend to only marry within their class, so that's why he's mad. Margie knows that this is not Mary's fault. She begins to doubt her and her dad. She thought of this as ignorant and unjust. In response to this, she and Mary go out to protest. Margie learns that you cannot associate with others outside of your social class, which is not something she agrees with. She's like, this is not right. Shouldn't be so. Next question. So, who is Anush and how does Margie view him? How does Anush die? So Anush was Margie's uncle, her dad's brother. Margie loved her uncle because she viewed him as a hero for having been in prison. Yeah, something she wanted her father to be. And she knows she has a family in her family. He was executed by the Islamic regime. And their excuse ended up being that he was killed because he was a Russian spy, which he was not. Yeah. So what do the bread swans that Anush gift represent? So he makes bread swans for her while he's in prison. God, it's warm in here. So this just represents the continuation of hope and that something beautiful can come out of ugly and bad times. Margie's father says the following about the war. What are you talking about? Of course I'm not going to fight. Why should I fight? Why? What does this reveal about him? So this reveals that this just proves his pessimism and that Iran's government are the ones who actually started the war. So he won't fight a made-up war because people didn't start it but the government, so he thinks it's not even something that's going to benefit anybody and it'll just be there forever. And it's all created. It's a mock-up war, so it's not like an actual war. So then who is Mrs. Nasrain? I think that's how you pronounce it. And what happens to her son? So she's Margie's family's maid. They gave her a key to her son at school and told him that if they went to war and were lucky enough to die, that they would get them into heaven. That's the symbolism of the key. They gave this to poor, innocent, uneducated boys to trick them into fighting for their country. So what are the nuptial chambers? And what is their purpose? So these are pretend chambers, tombstones in heaven, where sex takes place for the dead with virgins. The purpose is to draw illiterate people to fight for their country, while simultaneously use flattery to offer them as a great afterlife. So this is just like where the boys would go after they had fought, and pretty much to convince them to fight for the country, you know. Yeah. So next question, who is Siamak and what happened to him and his family? So he's a man who had been in prison for almost 6 years because he and his family were communists and enemies of the Shah himself. Their churches were led by the CIA. So he was a political who was imprisoned and later liberated. Siamak's sister was executed, so his sister was killed. However, him and his family crossed the border, hidden among a flock of sheep, seeking out freedom. So nothing much is known about him. We just know that we learned that he lives the country in a flock of sheep with his family. That's about it. So who were given the gold keys to? Why? And what does the keys symbolize? So these keys were given to poor and uneducated boys because they're illiterate and don't know any better. They will do anything if it sounds attractive or interesting. So they were taking advantage of them. The key symbolizes the lengths the government will go to brainwash children into enlisting for their country. But it symbolizes also like the key to heaven or paradise, where they will go thereafter. So how does Pertis feel about the war, and what does Margie learn? So Pertis is again one of the students at school who Margie gets along with. So she hates it. Pertis hates the war because her dad had to die because of it, as a result of it. Margie learns that being a hero isn't as diplomatic and honorable as it sounds. She realizes that one must die to become a hero. So now she's sort of retracting her idea of a hero because someone has to die. And you know, dying's not good. I'm so burnt. Anyway, so what does it reveal about the soldiers, government officials, that Margie's father was able to bribe his way out of having their homes searched? So this means since Marj's dad was able to like pay the soldiers some money so they didn't go into the house, that just means that they're just pretty much hypocrites, and that they're not true devotees of their government. They're doing this merely because it's a task, not so much because they truly believe in this regime. So that's just what it means. They have a very bad government with people who don't even care about their government. Yeah. So with the first cigarette, I kissed childhood and said goodbye. This is by Margie. What is significant about this quote? So this shows her transition to believing she's actually become an adult. Though in reality she hasn't become an adult. And this is just like her rebellion, but it does show her coming of age. So Margie starts rebelling. How? What happens to her because of this rebellion? My hand is killing me. Okay, so she was being too much of a fanatic of Western culture. She dresses up with American clothing. She's almost taken to committee and killed. She's criticized and harassed by the guardians of the revolution, and she hangs out with 14-year-olds when she was a little younger or whatever. So Margie is sent out to Austria as a result of her behavior due to a fear that she will be arrested. So her parents ship her out all the way to Austria. Why? I don't know. So what happens at the end of the novel? So when you learn that Margie leaves the country from Iran to Austria, but her mom, Margie's mom, as she's seen her leave out of the country, she faints, and then you notice that her dad is like holding her tight on his arms. That's just how the novel ends. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope do well in this exam and, you know, study a lot. You'll be good. Thank you.